yet another ghostly spirit wavering, undulating. She is ready. Here is Madge Gressley.
Is that better? This piece that I have tonight, I collaborated with my friend Dana Summers, who's back here, on her book. And I took one of the scenes from her book, which was very Halloweenish, and I wrote a short story of it. Her story was in third person. I put mine in first, and it's this is my first time at first person thing, so maybe we'll see how it works. And if I stumble over it, don't think anything of it. I haven't had a chance to read it through but once today. It's called Requiem of a Nightmare. I feel my black stiletto heels sink deep into the soft earth with each slow, unsteady step I take. A gentle breeze lifts the black veil from my face, revealing my empty, heroin-high eyes beneath. After decades of holding on hopelessly to my belief that my daughter would be found alive, I am finally making the dreaded journey to witness what I cannot deny, my daughter's grave. The late afternoon sun cast eerie shadows across the headstones as I stumbled my way to the family plot. I stopped briefly to pay my respects to my father-in-law, the man who made me proud to be his daughter-in-law. However, I feel some regret for not being there to tell him goodbye. I sigh, close my eyes. It has been years since we last spoke. I'm ashamed of my cowardice, but I have nothing left to offer anyone. I'm empty inside. So I let myself believe it was self-preservation that let me isolate myself from the rest of the family. I know it was only selfishness. I open my eyes. Reaching out, I touch his cold headstone. An unbidden tear of remorse slips down my cheek. I straighten up. Disgusted at my moment of weakness, I rub the tear away before turning towards my husband's grave. The cold stone that marks the place where his body rots is only a few steps away, but I stand still. Hatred boils inside of me as I remember his indifference toward the loss of our daughter that drove me mad until there was nothing left inside my heart but hate. I spit on the ground. My feelings soften as I turn away from his grave and look upon my mother-in-law's plot. The lovely lady died painfully. Sad tears flow as I kneel before her headstone. My finger traces the words carved in the stone, kindred spirit to everyone. I allow myself a moment to reflect before I push up and take the first unsteady step toward my reason for being here. My stiletto heels slip easily into the soft earth, slowing my steps as I make my way to face my worst nightmare, the grave where my daughter lies cold in her coffin. I draw a ragged breath and step closer. A little girl whose toddler face is all I can remember had grown into a young woman, according to the police report I had been allowed to read. It described in detail the torture, abuse, rape, and drugs she had been forced to endure before she finally took her life. Slowly, I drop to my knees onto the cold ground in front of her headstone, and I pull a framed photo of her at age 4 from my bag. I place it on the headstone next to the holder filled with withering flowers. I stare at her headstone a long while, remembering what little bit my heroin-soaked brain will let me. When the memories dim, I decide it's time to go. Struggling to my feet, I brush the dead grass from my dress. An overwhelming feeling of sadness fills my soul as I take one last look at the innocent angel face in the photo. Suddenly, everything in my view turns black as decades of anger, fear, pain engulf my tortured mind. I lash out and I scream things I dare not say those many long years. Shaking my fist at the photo, I blame her for all the things that has gone wrong in my life. I feel the hot, bitter tears begin to fall as I collapse on my knees again in rage at the innocent face in the photo. I plunge my fist into the glass covering the photo. Large shards of glass splitter and fall onto the ground. I reach out and pick up the largest shard and hold it in my hand as I notice the dark red blotch of blood forming on the back of my gloved hand. I turn my hand over and examine the blood spot. It is now expanding into the glove's fabric. I don't notice the shard drop to the ground. The blood is all that matters. I suck the blood from my knuckle. The sun hangs low in the sky as I struggle to stand again. I'm completely irrational now from grief and heroin, my crutch that helps me make it through the day. I peel my coat off, and in a fit of anger, I throw it on the ground. Selfishly, I conclude that I've endured enough pain in my life, and by God, I won't stand anymore. It is the end of pain. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I remember that death by blood loss is supposed to be the most peaceful way to die. That's what I need, peace. Falling to my knees again, I pick up the large glass shard where it fell. I thrust out my left arm. For many seconds, I considered the delicate crook of my arm and the dark blue vein pulsing just below the surface. The spot where nurses draw blood. Yes, it will work for what I have in mind. Holding the shard, I angrily plunge the point deep into my skin, twisting and turning, desperately searching for the vein. The glass pierces the muscle and exposes the large, dark blue, silvery, pulsing vein. I quickly slice it in half. Hot blood, so dark it looks black, shoots out and splatters the picture on the headstone. Fascinated, I watch the dark crimson liquid trickle down my arm and onto my black dress. It pools on the ground in front of my knees. I'm surprised. It doesn't hurt as the blood pulses out of the artery with the rhythm of my heartbeats. I stretch out my legs and lean back against the headstone, sighing. I fix my eyes on the last ray of sunshine fading from the sky and wait for the blood to drain. End of first half.
May be leaving for now, but the nightmares will return.